Oh my word, what an ending. What a couple of episodes, what a cliffhanger, and honestly, what a series so far. So let's look at the theories, let's note some key moments that we probably missed on the first watch, and make our prediction. Will the traitors win the first ever Celebrity Traitors? First things first, who's being murdered? Kate, Nick, or Lucy? Who'd I murder? I'd murder Nick. Nick is so smart, so sharp, dangerously so. If you're a traitor, you're looking at that, you're thinking, gosh, he knows a thing or two. Maybe a few too many things, if I'm honest. But I don't think that's who they've murdered. Their eyes. Unfortunately, we've not got 8K footage, so I don't know. Can't look in the reflections. I tried and failed.
Couldn't undo it if I tried. And I tried.
You can see a little bit of change of direction in Kate's eyes. Kate's eyes kind of flit, as if she's looking at 3 people, not 6, I should say 3 people, rather than just one, Claudia. Because obviously the 2 who survive, they're going to see Claudia. They're going to be like, oh, it's you, Claudia. And honestly, although Nick's reaction did initially make me think, well, would you make that reaction if it's Claudia? Yeah, probably, actually. I think almost that relaxed realization that you're not dead. Don't get me wrong, it could easily be Nick. I don't think Lucy's really in consideration because, like quite a few people have said on Reddit, she's not really a risk, is she? She's great, quite funny, but nowhere near finding a traitor. Now, Nick, on the other hand, we know he's got 2 of them lined up. He has got another 2 who are just wrong, Lucy and Stephen's gone, so he knows he's wrong there. But he's right about Jonathan and he's right about Kat. He's completely missed Alan, completely missed him, but who can blame him? Who can blame him for that? Again, play that clip. Kate's eyes flit almost from one person to another, rather than just one person, Claudia, straight ahead. So I think that Kate is going to go home. And I've said that before. When I did the last debrief, I did say that Kate was definitely going to go home. I did some analysis. I was totally wrong. Put my hands up. I was wrong. And I might be wrong again, but I'm not. I'm not wrong, because this time it's based on more facts than analysis. So, and you can check with your own eyes this time. It's not just me saying this is how people are going to vote and being wrong about it. Although, to be clear, I was 33% right. So, but this time, look, I'll show you the video one more time. You will see that fundamentally, it's pretty clear. I think. You can make your own conclusions, but that's the basis I'm going off. That's my evidence. That's my ace in the hole. Now, there's a theory going around online that I've seen. Is Celia a detective? Now let's talk about the game. So we've got the faithful. That is most people in the game. Then we've got traitors, who are the baddies. Last season, we also had a seer role. Now, that was quite controversial. Some people didn't like it. I hated it. It was really poorly done.
I feel sick.
But there's a theory this time that Celia is a detective. Now, the role of the detective is there to play as a faithful. They're on the faithful team. However, they have the additional kind of benefit of some slight increase in information. And I say slight, it is like a tiny amount, but it is quite useful information. It's pertinent. It's not just, by the way, the weather's going to be a bit miserable tomorrow, so wear wellies. It's more, when Celia votes at the round table, she gets to find out whether her vote was accurate or inaccurate. So she gets told whether, regardless of whether the outcome, she's successful or not, regardless of whether she votes for the person who is eliminated or she votes for somebody else, she gets to find out whether the person she voted for is a traitor. The theory is precipitated on the following information. In the very first 30 seconds of episode 1, Claudia was hanging portraits of a player. She says, as for this one, then Celia's portrait winks at her. Claudia replies,
knockout.
In one of her diary room interviews, Celia talks with a smile about her investigations and does the same wink. She has changed her guess at every single round table. She's talked openly to everyone about snooping and sleuthing around. But do you know something? And this for me is why this theory is incorrect, although I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. She guessed Charlotte Church, okay? I rest my case, Your Honour. And then she said she still thought it was Charlotte Church.
And Charlotte, for instance.
If this theory is correct, that Celia Imrie, not Nana McPhee, as has been pointed out to me many, many times, playing Nana McPhee in the film of the same name. If Celia Imrie is a detective, then why would she, having just found out that Charlotte Church isn't a traitor, actually, your vote's incorrect, why would she then say, I think it's Charlotte Church? We know it's not Charlotte Church. It's not like I'm sitting here going, I don't think it's Charlotte Church. I know it's not Charlotte Church. She's dead. I mean, I knew before she was dead. You knew before she was dead. But she is dead. So she wasn't obviously a traitor. But why would you keep pushing that theory if you know for a fact that it's wrong? Now I can see, there's going to be some responses saying, well, you don't want to be too obvious. Sure, I'm more than happy to accept that as a position. However, do we really think that for someone who you voted for, you would then expend energy, having just found out that they're not a traitor, making more people think that she is? There's no value in it. I can understand not going, yeah, actually I've decided Charlotte's fine. Yeah, I thought about it last night, actually I don't think she's a traitor anymore. That would be weird. That would be odd. But to still go after her? A bridge too far for me. I don't think the theory is correct. However, what I do think is I think she may have a role. I don't think it's detective, and I'm kind of hoping it's not Sia, because we're getting towards the part of the game where the Sia role is a bit of a poison chalice? Chalice? How do you pronounce that? Chalice? Who knows? It's a poison something. The game theory suggests that in reality, regardless of what you hear in that Sia conversation, you should say, oh, the other person's a faithful. Particularly given the stats of where we're at. Now, I think the more likely possibility is that she is in some way protected. Amogus. I think that's one of the things that I find interesting is if she's had a role from the start, how is she guaranteed to last this long? Is she protected in some way? Or maybe that's her power, is she will go through to the end. Again, I don't think that's very likely. What do you think? That's the facts. Can't see her being detective. I can't see her being a seer, if you'll pardon the pun. But I do think she must have some kind of role, because I agree, some of these things are odd. Why was there a wink? Why did she get a slightly different intro? Are these things that are just, happenstance, coincidence? I don't know. But I think it's odd. It'd be remiss of me now not to talk a little bit about Alan at the round table. Now, Alan has been doing fantastically in my view. Episode 1, he was flummoxed. He was all over the place. He was sweating. He was uncomfortable. And honestly, part of me at that moment in time thought, well, he's going to be Linda. And I think I said, he is going to be our next Linda. I've been wrong. He has not really put a foot wrong up until the last episode, where unfortunately he has put a foot in it, let's say, to continue the metaphor. He has put his foot in it quite significantly, and I would say quite dangerously. Now, I made a prediction. I think Jonathan's going to be first to go, and I think had the faithful not got a little cocky, I'm talking about Joe Marler saying, well, let's keep Jonathan in so we can, because he'll turn on other traitors and then we can get rid of 2 of them. Fantastic. That cockiness has not helped, and I think they would have got Jonathan out by now. But I don't think that they're going to get Jonathan out first anymore. I think they should. There's a hell of a lot of evidence against him. The big dog theory, now that Stephen's gone, realistically you have to consider, okay, well, one big dog's gone, let's get rid of the other one, just to cover our bases. But I think that Allan Carr has signed his own banishment with simply forgetting he had a shield. Something as big as that for a faithful is unheard of. You don't forget the thing that makes sure that you're safe. Yeah, I know you're at a round table and it doesn't save you there, but that is going to be difficult to explain, particularly as the way he asked the why You know, why would I be fine? Why am I going to be safe?
I won't murder you tonight.
What?
Almost felt accusatory. You know, I think he felt that they were saying, well, no, you're safe because you're a traitor. And he wanted to come out swinging with a, well, I'm no traitor. But the problem was, it ended up really splashing back in his face when they said, well, no, you've got a shield out. You know, you're fine. And I'm going, oh yeah, I do, don't I? Yes, you do, and that's fucking strange. I think that's going to be a real problem for Alan. He is going to really struggle to sell the fact that, as a faithful, he has genuinely forgotten that he is safe from murder. Because that's what the faithful need to worry about more than anything. You know, banishment they have some level of control over. They can make a persuasive point, they can argue, they can get emotional, they can make a tit of themselves. But murder, that's it, you know. It's out of your hands. So, I think Alan's a goner, and I think Alan will be gone. Be gone at the next banishment. On the subject of traitors, Kat. Let's talk about Kat, because Kat is possibly one of the best traitors we've ever seen. She has flown really neatly under the radar, fantastically I might add, but she's spoken when she needs to. She has come out and not push Jonathan under the bus, but she hasn't stood back, which is a thing that a lot of traitors end up doing, and then at the vote they finally do it, but by that point they've kind of sowed their own seeds of kind of, wow, you weren't really pushing this, you kind of just went along with the flow once the outcome was predetermined. Kat has played a brilliant game. You know, if I had to choose at this moment in time who I think should win, it just on an individual level, Kat has played a blindingly incredible game. She's just OP. You know, that's why she's the GOAT. She is the GOAT of Celebrity Traitors.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
That leads us really neatly onto kind of who is going to win. You know, is this going to be a traitor washout? Because at the moment, it's looking very likely. We've got 9 players at this point. 3 of them are traitors, 6 of them are faithful. 1 in 3 of the contestants is a traitor. You know, a vote at this point is actually quite difficult. The faithful do need to basically come together to banish someone. Yeah, that is unfortunately going to have to be the case if the faithful have any chance of winning. And I don't think I've ever seen a series quite this one-sided where they haven't got anyone. You know, even by chance at this point, you'd think you would have got one of them. If you stick a pin in the board, 30% of the time you hit a traitor now, which is a crazy stat. But it's true. It's a true stat. It's a real stat. I think the traitors have won this. I think it would take an inordinate level of subterfuge and backhanded play to steal defeat from the jaws of victory here. And I think the only way it happens is if Jonathan gets unhappy that he thinks Kat is pushing him under the bus and Dobbs are in it. That's the only way. I think Alan is going to get himself out through his unthinking statements. I think Jonathan will be a casualty of the big dog war. But Kat, no one suspects Kat except Nick. And I know that Nick is considered a really strong faithful, which is why, again, personally, I would murder him. He's someone who's pretty nailed on that he's a faithful, apart from for Lucy and for Kate, because they think, well, why did you sabotage us? But for everyone else, he's a bona fide faithful. Joe Marler now also suspects Kat, but only because Nick has put him onto her. Genuinely, the only way that the traitors don't win this is one of 2 things. It's either, like I said, that Jonathan pushes Kat underneath the bus to try and save himself, and in doing so manages to get them both out. That, or they don't murder Nick, and Nick manages to really corral the remaining faithful around him. Obviously, the thing that we haven't seen at all this season is recruitment, because there's not been a gap in the traitors' side. If there was a recruitment, I would definitely choose either Nick or Joe. You know, they are 2 people that they're so nailed on. They are so so nailed on that they are faithful that picking them would just be solid. I'd personally choose Nick because he's, like I said at the start, he's just so razor sharp. He's so smart. You know, it makes me feel incredibly stupid just seeing how intelligent he is. Genuinely, I sit and I'm just jaw on the floor. He's so funny. He's so handsome.
Just want you to stop saying odd shit.
Anyway, moving on. Jonathan. How does he keep getting away with it? I feel like pretty much since the end of the first week, there's been kind of murmurings. Jonathan might be a traitor. And obviously we know he is. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, is he? Yes, he is. It says traitor when he talks. But I feel like there's been that really, really good editing, as is very, very typical from the Traitors team. Really good editing to kind of show that maybe he's being suspected. But actually, when push comes to shove, in the round table, no one really believes it's him enough. No one is so confident that it's him that they're willing to put their neck on the line. And that, I think, is fascinating. So how does Jonathan keep getting away with it? Honestly, I've no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. I think it might be as simple as he's quite well known by everyone. You know, regardless of your background, you've probably heard of Jonathan Ross if you're in the castle. So maybe that's it, almost deference. But Jonathan Ross is seen as a little bit evil, and I think that maybe people are almost second guessing themselves. Like, oh, they wouldn't choose someone who's like the baddie. Oh, they would. Oh, they would. And that is everything for this Celebrity Traitors debrief. Let me know if you think I've missed anything. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. Bye-bye.